Network where we're burning the books alive. Running hella late today. I fell asleep while I was labbing earlier. Um, then I tried to get like OBS set up on my computer, so I could have like some upgrades. We won't even talk about them, but so I could have some upgrades to the channel. But nevertheless, Commissioner's Cup Day. The girls gonna go get paid. We might as well get paid as well. So with that being said, I got four hot ones for y'all. You would know these if you watch my live, but I'm gonna just break these down and then break some numbers down real quick, and then you know, we'll get on to the actual game. So I got four picks. My first pick is Jonquel Jones over 12.5 points. She's hit this line in the last 3 out of 4 games. Totals of 18, 15 twice. And she's hit this line in the last 4 out of 7 versus Vegas. The game she hasn't hit this versus Vegas, she didn't have the points, and she really wasn't in the form that she is now. So she went over this line 4 out of 7 versus games that she did not go over. It was 3 hooks. And it's 13, and she had like 11 in all of those games. So we just need her to get 2 more points. Next up, I really like this Sabrina Ionescu look. I really like a couple Sabrina Ionescu looks. I definitely sprinkled over her on her triple double, as it's like plus 6,000 right now. But Sabrina Ionescu over 5.5 assists. She's hit this in her last 3 out of 4 games with highs of 7 and 8 assists. And then she's hit this in her last 5 games versus, well, 4 out of 5 last games versus Vegas, with totals of 10, 6, 7, and 7. And the one game that she did not get to 6, she had 5. It was on the hook. Next up, I love her 15.5 points. Because like when they played last time, if Sabrina don't go off, New York could get blown out. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like a 4v4. You got Jonquel, Breanna Stewart, Vandersloot, and Sabrina versus Asia, Chelsea, Plum, and Jackie. Everybody got to come with it. You don't come with it, your team could get killed. But really, I think the Liberty could get killed if Breanna or B. Stu or Sabrina don't show up. I think it could get ugly quick. Laney can do only so much. So, give me Sabrina over 15.5 points, 16.5 on some books. Really doesn't matter. She's hit this line in the last 3 out of 4 games. The 3 games she did, she had totals of 18, 31, and 19. And versus Vegas, it's a whole different story. There's 2 bad games sprinkled in there the last 5 times she's played. But 3 out of the last 5 times she's played Vegas, she's had more than 27 points. So I definitely look to sprinkle over on that. And then there's been some reverse line movement. I know Asia had a bad first half last game she played versus the Dream. Then came in second half and lost her mind, was playing unconscious. But there's been reverse line movement and moving her points down to 19.5. So give me Asia Wilson over 19.5 points all day. She's hit this line in the last 9 out of 10 games and in the last 3 out of 5 games versus New York. So now let's get into a couple numbers that I found appealing and appeasing. Breanna Stewart. So I cooked a bunch of parlays and I cooked a bunch of builders. Those are all over at Twitter. Let me just show you how we got there right quick. Then I'm going to get out your guys' hair so we can watch this game. I'll probably put one more super long shot parlay in for us all said and done. Let's start on the New York side of things. Jonquel Jones. Over 9 points in the last 10 out of 10 games and over 8 points in the last 8 out of 8 games versus Las Vegas. Well, we just keep going up with it, right? But she's over 12 points in the last 8 out of 10 games and in the last 7 out of 8 games. You know she's been a monster on the glass. It's been ridiculous. She's had 8 rebounds in the last 9 out of 10 games and the last 5 out of 8 games versus Las Vegas. But like I was saying, in some of those games versus Vegas, she didn't have the minutes. And if she did have the minutes, she didn't have her current form. Last game Jonquel played Las Vegas, she had 12 points and 14 rebounds I think she's going to have at least that. Again, maybe not 14 rebounds, maybe let's say 12 and 10, but I think she's at least going to have that line. She's gone over 11 rebounds the last 8 out of 10 games, and she had 14 rebounds the last game versus Las Vegas. Vandersloot, I do not trust Courtney today. She has some really ugly numbers, and I wouldn't be, if you wanted to go under her 10.5 points, there's no way I could talk you off it. Vandersloot, over 8 points in the last 6 out of 10 in the last 4 out of 6 versus Vegas. She's had over 6 assists in the last 8 out of 10 in the last 3 out of 6 versus Vegas. She's had 5 assists in the last 4 out of 6 versus Vegas. Little sneaky, though. Little sneaky one. She's had more than 2 rebounds in her last 8 out of 10 games and her last 5 out of 6 games versus Vegas. Jackie Young has phenomenal logs versus Vegas. She's gone over 15 points in her last 8 out of 10 games straight up and in her last 4 out of 5 games versus Vegas. Chelsea Gray has really good logs. She's over 15 points in her last 6 out of 10 games and over 14 points in the last 4 out of 5 games versus New York. Her 10 points is just, she's going to stumble into that. She's over 5 assists in the last 10 out of 10 games, over 5 assists in the last 4 out of 5 games versus New York. And then she got that sneaky Courtney Vandersloot stat. She got over 2 rebounds, last 10 out of 10 in the last 4 out of 5 versus New York. Kelsey Plum, she's had 3 assists in the last 10 out of 10 games, last 5 out of 5 games versus New York. She's had 12 points in the last 10 out of 10 games and the last 5 out of 5 versus New York. You know what I'm saying? So you like getting my vibe, like, man, I watered everything. I watered it all down. We just going to build it up slowly. She's gone over 15 points in the last 7 out of 10 games, over 18 points in the last 6 out of 10 games, over 15 points and 18 points in the last 4 out of 5 games versus New York. Real quick. We're going to do the New York side. Then I'm going to get on up out of here. Sabrina, over 10 points last 10 out of 10 games. And then, like I said, she's over 27 points the last 3 out of 5 versus Vegas. Over 12 points in her last 8 out of 10 games. Over 18 points in the last 4 out of 7 games. She's over 5 assists in the last 8 out of 10 games and over 5 assists in the last 5 out of 5 games versus Las Vegas. She's also over 4 rebounds in her last 8 out of 10 games and over 3 rebounds in her last 3 out of 5. She's over 6 assists, in her last 7 out of 10 games and over 6 assists in the last 4 out of 5 versus Vegas. Next, Benaja Laney. She has really good logs versus Vegas. She's over 11 points in the last 8 out of 10 games straight up and in the last 1 out of 2 games versus Vegas. She's had a little sneaky 2 assists in her last 9 out of 10 games and a sneaky 3 assists the last 7 out of 10 games versus Vegas. She's had 3 rebounds in her last 8 out of 10 games straight up. Then the 2 times she played Vegas, she had 4 rebounds one game and 9 rebounds the other one. Definitely sneaky, Mr. D's. Definitely keep my eye on Laney. She might have a good game. And I definitely keep my eye on John Quayle. Everybody's all on the stars. Asia this, B Stu this, Sabrina this, Kelsey Plum, But ain't no I in team. So definitely look out for Laney. Definitely look out for John Quayle. Like I said, those girls are going to have to come with it. Or they're going to get blown out. Last but not least, Brianna Stewart. Beef Stew York, Beef Stew, right? Over 16 points in her last 9 out of 10 games and in the last 9 out of 10 games versus Vegas. Over 20 points in the last 7 out of 10 games and in the last 8 out of 10 games versus Vegas. You know, we just climbing the ladder. Over 22 points in the last 6 out of 10 games and in the last 5 out of 10 versus Vegas. She's had the sneaky 2 assists the last 9 out of 10 games, sneaky 3 assists last 7 out of 10 games. Last 5 out of 10 games versus Las Vegas with that 3 assists, and the last 9 out of 10 games versus Vegas with that 2 assists. She on Cheyenne Parker status. If you know, you know. Last but not least, she's gone over 6 rebounds in the last 9 out of 10 games and in the last 9 out of 10 games versus Vegas. So, I gave you the info. It's on Twitter. Definitely give me a follow on Twitter, more lays and builders. We gonna get right to it. I'm gonna jump off of here so I can throw me one more prize picks in, one more last parlay. Like, comment, and subscribe. Peace, love, and namaste. Let's get right to this money, man. Then got a reset day and get right back to it on Thursday. So I see y'all on Thursday, or I might see y'all on Wednesday if they open up them team totals and the odds to or to not make the playoffs. All right, I'm out. See y'all in a minute.